I think we have this game backwards where we're so focused on trying to change culture. And the problem is that everybody's looking out. Like, how do I change all of this? Meanwhile, their home is not in order. The average American has less than $5,000 in savings. I think it's 80 something percent of America lives paycheck to paycheck. You should not be worried about any other person than you and your home, period.
Hey everybody, welcome to Beyond the Horizon podcast. My guest today is Mr. Sean Whalen, founder and CEO of Lions Not Sheep and the leader of the Lions Den. We got into some great conversation. It is Life Insurance Awareness Month, so you know we touched on that. Sean has a great passion for the breadwinners of the household owning life insurance and getting that stuff in order. We talked about turning inward and looking how fixing the things about yourself are the key factor to fixing the culture and the things around you. And we talked about his core four and how you can utilize this strategy to just develop a plan, bite-sized action, change your life. I'm excited for you to hear it. Make sure that you subscribe, comment, and like so you can stay in the ecosystem and keep hearing conversations just like this. Well, I appreciate you jumping on Beyond the Horizon. The whole goal here is to have conversations that inspire people to see beyond what their current focus or lens allows them to see. And so for everybody listening here, we have Mr. Sean Whalen, CEO of Lions Not Sheep, leader of the Lions Den. Sean is a son. He's a father, most recently a grandfather. Congratulations on the newest edition. I know you're a proud man with that little one.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sean has developed a social media following, correct me if I'm wrong, across all platforms, about 1.5 million and growing followers who are diligently listening and seeking for advice, and really just a guy who you unapologetically are who you are. I don't know you in personal life. Maybe this leads to that, but I take it that you are the guy we see online when you're not online. And yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but you
I try to be, man. What you see is what you get.
All right, good. Well, that's what I thought. And I'm sure that as time goes on, we'll learn more and more about that. But so I've been following you on Instagram since probably around 2020, which is right around that time, my wife started following. I don't remember how we exactly came across your feed, but it was around 2020 I started following you. My wife was sending me some posts, and I think that was a time where a lot of us were really looking for people who were just saying truthful things and saying what was real, right? And so anyway, I've been following you for a while, seeing your growth, your story, your brands and things that you've built. But not too long ago, you shared a post that my wife sent me, and her and I have had conversations, and she asked me from time to time, does everybody believe in life insurance like how I believe in it? Now I'm in the business. I own a brokerage with my brother, and we're constantly, for the last 16 years, we're promoting this all the time. You shared a post I'm going to read, and it was, you said, fellas, get some life insurance and get your estate/will, living will in order. You should have a term life policy at the bare minimum. Don't leave your family and kids in a mess to try and make sense of it all if you check out unexpectedly. Asterisk, and no, I don't have a link or anything to sell you. This is just a friendly advice from someone who's seen the struggles of family after someone's death. So I think my wife sent me the post because it was immediate, like, wow, a person of influence, a person who seems financially well off and free, they're believing and promoting what you're believing, right? So it's Life Insurance Awareness Month, and I'm doing all I can to promote. And I saw this, I said, you know what? I've got a guy of influence who has no bias and reason to be sharing this. He makes no money to my knowledge if people make a decision and go get life insurance. So Sean, I want to ask you, why do you feel so strongly, and why did you make that post?
I've always been an advocate. In my early 20s, I sold life insurance for a little bit, and I bought in then. I saw it then. And I've had a number of friends pass away unexpectedly. And I think right after I wrote that, I had learned of a friend's passing, and, most of the friends that I have that have passed, their house wasn't in order. They didn't have it in order. And it's something that I've seen happen multiple times. And I just felt compelled to share that because we don't, as men, we think we're going to live forever. We think, the accidents just happen to the people that we read about online. And we see some guy fell off his motorcycle, got hit by a car, had a heart attack at 42 years old. Strange, odd. And I just found that like this wasn't something that I was taught when I was young. This wasn't like promoted. Like nobody really talked economics and protection and the whole thing. So I just shared that because I've been a big fan of term life specifically for 20 plus years. I've got term life insurance, and if I was to die unexpectedly, I know that my kids and my estate planning would be taken care of basically indefinitely. So it's something that I'm very much an advocate of, just because you don't know, you know what I mean? And I want to have all my bases covered if something was to happen to me. And one of the things that I would never want my family to have to struggle with is debt or bills or things and, whatever else. So that's why I wrote that.
Yeah. So I didn't know you had a background in life insurance, but you're not in it anymore, right? Like
no, I haven't. I literally sold insurance for maybe 8 months, 6, 7, 8 months. You know what I mean? But back then was when I kind of bought into it. This was literally when I was like 22 years old. So it was 25, 26 years ago. But no, I don't have any skin in the game. I don't have a brokerage. I don't have a link. I don't have an affiliate, anything. Now,
do you think getting involved, I'm assuming you were recruited into the industry. Most people fell into it somehow. It wasn't something you were in high school dreaming to become an insurance agent. So was that the first exposure you really had to it, or did your parents have life insurance and like it was kind of generationally something you saw?
No, parents didn't do it. I was actually working for a guy. This is my last real job I got fired from. I was a salesman for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And the funny story is I wanted my boss's job. I was like the #1 sales guy in the state. And I was like, hey, I should be doing your job because I'm better than you at your job. And she didn't really like that. So she ended up firing me. So there was a moment in time where I went from having like a real job and a real paycheck to, all right, what do I do now? And I always had a knack for sales and promotion. And so I sold cars for a couple months. And then my buddy who sold cars, his dad was in the insurance business and he was very, very successful. And he said, hey, you should come sell insurance on the side too. So I started selling insurance and dabbled in that for 6, 7, 8 months. And then found mortgages and real estate. And that's when I got really heavy into real estate development and investing and stuff like that. And that kind of became my future. But yeah, I spent a little bit of time in it. And I see it. I see it for what it is. Right. And to me, I've spent my entire life talking about, specifically the last 10 years, about getting your house in order, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, financially. And this is one of those things. And so I watched a lot of people go through experiences where I'm physically seeing a friend die and then watching what his family goes through. And I'm like, dude, this is why you should have insurance.
Right.
Like, spend $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever it is, just get yourself $1 million term policy. Like, why wouldn't you do that as a guy, as a man, as a father, as a provider, just to make sure that you're covered, right? So we get insurance on all of our other you might as well insure your life. So that's where I really became an advocate. And literally the last 25 years, I've had life insurance on me and, my spouse. And so.
Nice. Well, the American College put out a statistic. They said that 42% of US adults either say they need to get it or they need more than what they already own.
Yeah.
The #1 reason when we're talking with people who are looking into it is that before they get a price, they think it's significantly more expensive than what it actually is. But I just want to ask you this, like, how the pricing and stuff works generally. Even if it was as expensive as people think, do you think it's worth paying for and committing and maybe sacrificing something in your life that's like a luxury to make sure you own and have something like this?
Dude, with that, look, if you have, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, if you have any brain cells in your head, if you're a guy, I'll just talk to the guys for a second. If you're a man and a father, imagine you died today. What would happen? Like literally, what would happen with your house, with your bills, with your cars, with your mortgage, with your 401k, your IRA? Like what would happen with your job? Like what would happen? Most dudes don't think that way. We think we're going to live forever and we have a 8, 10, 12, 15, 20-year plan. But the truth is, like, legitimately, like, you get hit by a bus today. Right. What would happen? Like, what's that worth to you? And dude, I think I was literally just having this conversation with a guy in the gym. It's ironic that we're having this chat. I think I spend like $120 a month, and I have for the last 15, 16, 17 years for a 30-year life insurance term policy. And I want to say that I have a couple of them. I think it's like 1.8 million or close to $2 million. And people say, oh, that's a waste of money. That's just that. I spend $1,000 a year, give or take, to know that if I died unexpectedly, if I hit a skiing accident, anything, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm riding my four-wheelers, I fall off. I know that my family would receive that money. And the way that I have it allocated is that everything would be taken care of. My family wouldn't have to worry about how do we do this? What do we do this? What goes on with this? Like if you're a dude and you're spending money on random bullshit, why would you not invest $100 a month into this? Now, this is where people, and I don't want to get into the whole term versus whole life. That's a different conversation for a different day. But I look at it from the perspective of if I live to be 80, I should be making financial moves now to where when I die, like the insurance is irrelevant, right? Like my insurance when I'm 80 is the investing that I'm doing today, the cash flow that I'm creating today, where all that matters then is just my will. Okay, you get the cars, you get the guns, you get the ranch, you get this done, right? But if you have any love for your family, I'm kind of selling you right now and selling the insurance. But if you have any love and care for your family, make sure that the short-term game is freaking covered. I shouldn't have to say that. You shouldn't have to say that. And if $50, $75, $100 a month, $200 a month is not worth your family's security, you should do some real serious evaluation of your life. Right.
Priorities are not truly in line.
Yeah.
And I get it. I
guarantee you, like, there's dudes spending money on the dumbest shit out there that, you know what I mean? Like, and they don't have life insurance.
I mean, when we do analysis, the number one thing that people have, quote, overspending on is eating out.
Yeah.
Like, we had a lady the other day, and she had over $1,500 in Starbucks charges per month, but was wondering if she's going to be able to like retire and I'm like, well, I mean, if you apply this, so it's all over the place. It runs rampant because I think people don't want to talk about it. Now, you and I are having this conversation because you posted something that you felt convicted to share because you saw struggle. I'm going into my 17th year of talking about insurance, retirement planning, investing, and I've seen both sides, right? People who go through struggles. I've been there and had families find my business card, call me, and I have to unfortunately let them know I could not convince your loved one to move forward. And I've had the great fortune of delivering life insurance checks to families and alleviating all of the burden that comes there. And so I've seen it firsthand, but I'm just curious. You mentioned you had friends and you've seen this multiple times. Do you have any stories where you saw people, their house was in order and they got to reap the benefit of having things properly put together?
Yeah. I mean, I've had some wealthy friends that passed that, you know, they're taken care of and the families are taken care of. I think the thing that most people don't realize is how chaotic the loss of a loved one is, especially the provider, the father, the man. And, you know, if you have younger children that are not 18 or older, that aren't out there doing their own thing, like the real question is like, well, what's your wife going to do? I mean, if you actually, hopefully she's not like, good riddance, dude, peace out. Like that was, you know what I mean? But let's just assume that you have a great relationship and your wife actually likes you. She's going to mourn. If she doesn't have that capacity, then like what's she going to do? Go get a job? Like you're basically saying to your wife, hey, if I die, you know, you're going to have to go get a job to pay the bills. That's stupid. Right. But yeah, I know plenty of people that their houses were in order, they're taken care of, and it allows your family to mourn. It allows your family to grieve without having to worry about money. And that's really the 1 + 1 = that. That's it. Like why life insurance is important. Again, I'm selling you is you want to take as many things off the table that my family has to worry about if I died. Number one being money. So just get a policy. Let's get a big ass check, give it to your wife. She's now taken care of. Doesn't have to worry about who's going to pay the bills.
So the other thing that doesn't get thought of a lot, and this does happen, is kids end up with a mediocre stepdad. because mom needed to figure out a way to maintain that lifestyle. If not going out and getting the job, it's finding another breadwinner. And sometimes there's not the time necessary to properly go through the process and vet out who is that next person who's going to take care of the kids because they're blinded by the cash. And it can go either way. I think in our society, it's more often the guy, but there's female breadwinners and they need it as well. So why do you think there's not more people like yourself in a position of influence that are talking about this?
I mean, like you said, nobody really likes to talk about it. We like talking about other stuff. We like talking about whatever we talk about. You know what I mean? But I think that me being a father, I've got 3 kids, I've got a grandson, me having a family, like I love to talk about going to my ranch and riding 4-wheelers and racing the Baja 1000 and buying cool things and building cool things. But the reality is, like, I also want to talk about the stuff that we shouldn't talk about and don't need to talk about and don't want to talk about, which is dying. Right. And so to me, it's like, if you're a well-rounded man, you should have all of your bases covered. This is the same thing that I talk about, with my company, Lions Not Sheep, about being prepared. Nobody wants to talk about like end of the world kind of shit. Nobody wants to talk about if the power went out for a month, what would we do? Nobody wants to talk about food storage and having, supply of gasoline if you had to get out of town. And nobody likes to talk about that stuff because it's not our typical day-to-day reality. But the problem is that if you don't talk about the worst case scenario and then the worst case scenario shows up, you're unprepared. But if you talk about the worst case scenario, it's like the best time to buy an umbrella is not in the middle of the storm. It's before it starts raining. So you just pop your umbrella open and you're solid. But the problem is everybody waits for it to start raining, and then all the umbrellas are sold out because everybody made a mad dash to go get them. Now you're screwed. This to me is kind of logic. You know what I mean? But I mean, look at our culture and our society. Not very many people are dealing in logic. You know what I mean? But I think that we all have our niches. We all talk about what we want to talk about. And one of the things that I'm very much an advocate of is just getting your house in order, making sure that you're prepared for all situations feasible.
Yeah. So you've gotten into incredible shape. Not that you were in bad shape, but I seen you talk about it. And I think you might say you're in one of the best shape of your life now. We get a lot of people who they understand the concept that insurance is based on health, like the pricing, and there's all these grades and levels and stuff. And you get people who want to delay because they're going to, quote, go get in shape. They're going to lose the pounds. They're going to do this stuff. I've never had anybody who's walked away and told me that and made it back and done it, right? What's something that we can share that gets people actually taking action on the physical health side of things so we can eliminate that excuse?
I mean, if you're in a position right now where you're like, I have to lose weight to get insurance, you're already kind of screwed, right? To me, it's just self-respect. To me, like you said, I've never been in bad shape, but I've never been in this shape. And to me, it was kind of like I wanted to push myself as far as I can go and keep going there. I mean, this doesn't guarantee that I don't have a heart attack. I did an Ironman a couple of years ago, and there was a guy who finished the Ironman who was 40, I think he was 42 or 43, like fell over, had a heart attack and died. He was a triathlete. He was in the great shape.
Wow.
There's no guarantee to any of this. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's just self-respect, man. Like, we could go down that rabbit hole on another conversation, but you only get one shot at this. You only get one body.
Right.
Like, you should be maximizing the capacity that you have to build an extraordinary body, not just for the aesthetics and the looks, but for literally being able to function properly, being able to run with your kids, being able to like take your shirt off at the pool and not be embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if that's you and that's where you are, I mean, screw the insurance. You should just have the self-respect and the dignity to get yourself in good shape.
Yep. And what a lot of people don't realize, buy the insurance now at the price you can get it now. And if you get into better shape, we can replace that policy. You're going to be eligible.
I've replaced my term policy 3, 4, 5 times because I've just tried to extend it out as many years as I can. So I was like 8 years in and then renewed it and got another 30 years kind of a deal. So I mean, it's just a strategy you should use. Yeah,
for sure. And for anybody listening right now, if you really don't know, like, how do I even start this? I just want to throw out basic, like 20 to 25 times multiple of your annual income minus whatever amount of assets you're going to leave. That's a general starting point. And you just find someone you trust, a broker who can help walk you through this. We've got policyengineer.com where you can buy insurance yourself. Takes 10 minutes. You're done, locked in, and you can get a policy. I mean, technology has completely eliminated the unknown of how do you do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, when I DM'd you what we wanted to talk about, I mentioned that I have felt this like massive culture shift. I kind of credited, or at least I started feeling this way when I started following Gary Vaynerchuk, and he started pushing and really talking about entrepreneurship. And I heard his talk, I think it was to the USC entrepreneurial class. And he basically was like, if you're serious, get up, get out of here, go build and go do this. And he's very like logical though, right? He talks a lot about like, know yourself and be aware. Are you the CEO who's going to dominate the world, or are you like a number 29 in a company, and you know, all this stuff. But there's been this shift, I feel like, of people who have entrepreneurial visions and ambitions, and I want to be a billionaire, right? These like, I want to be Grant Cardone. I want to, and they're setting destinations that they see other people having accomplished, but they're way ahead of them, right? And they're looking at and saying, I am going to create generational wealth for my family. They believe it through and through. I think you and I know that most people will not weather the storm necessary to create those degrees of wealth. But even the ones who do, it takes time, right? In your book, you reference that it's not popular to talk about doing hard work for a really long time because selling get rich quick ideas is way more popular, right?
Right.
So here's my question. How do we start to shift this culture that even though you believe with all your heart, and maybe you are going to get that, if something happens along the way, the family you have sold this dream and basket of goods that they're sacrificing, seeing you today and you being out and knocking out all of these deals out of the park, all this stuff, if you die, they're not going to continue that baton the same way you are, most likely. How do we shift the culture? Like, what are some ideas or things we can start doing, just picking your brain, so that this younger crowd that's developing these goals recognizes, okay, I got to do things. There's things I can do to guarantee my family has that wealth. I might not be here to experience it, but I can make sure they're in order. I just feel there's this culture thing we're missing the boat.
Well, I'll give you a couple different angles on this, and most people probably won't like it. Number one, I was actually with Grant Cardone in Monaco about 2 months ago on his $400 million yacht, and we were smoking cigars in the back. And he said, "How old are you?" I've known Grant for years. So 46. And he's like, "Dude, you have so much time." And I'm like, "What?" You know, because I always say that to the younger generation. He's like, "I didn't start making real money until I was like 50. And here he is now, multi-billionaire, right? And so it kind of put things in perspective for me, because I'm that pusher, that goer, that whatever. But here's the thing, and most people won't like this. What do you have to do with culture and society? What do I have to do with that, right? I'm just a dude from the internet. Like, you've never met me. You've never broken bread with me. 99.999% of the people listening to this have probably never crossed my path, shaken my hand, broken bread with me. You couldn't tell me the name of my dog or my kids, right? I think we have this game backwards, where we're so focused on trying to change culture and change the narrative and change society. And the problem is that everybody's looking out. Like, how do I change all of this? Meanwhile, their home is not in order. I don't need to go into detail on this. Just pull up the statistics.
Yeah.
The average American has less than $5,000 in savings. I think it's 80-something% of America lives paycheck to paycheck. You should not be worried about any other person than you and your home, period. I'll be really candid with you. I've been teaching this for years with Lions Not Sheep. Get your house in order. How do you change men? Become a man that other men will look to. I don't give a shit about the other men on planet Earth. People can say, "Well, dude, you're kind of a jerk." I'm not. That's the reason I'm so influential, because I'm getting my own house in order and showing other people how to do it. I can't change you. I can't change your habits and your patterns, Matt. I can't like wake you up in the morning and go, hey, bud, it's time to get motivated and go to the gym and make some money. I got my own kids, my own family, my own and I think it's time for us as a collective, especially as men, to stop worrying about everybody else and get our own home in order until you're not the statistic. If you have more than $5,000, good for you. If your body is in shape, if your home is in order, then you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But dude, this is like, it just boggles my mind how focused we are on everybody else and changing the story and the narrative, yet it never does. Mm-hmm. The reason is because we're so busy looking outside that we don't realize, like, my job as a man is not to protect your children. It's to protect mine.
Right.
My job as a man is to build my generational wealth, to be the one, as Ed Milet talks about. I didn't come from money. I come from an alcoholic family. My parents split up. My job is to be the one that breaks the chains. And if I can do that, now I create long-term change in my family and my history. So I say this all the time. I'm like, I'm not trying to go out and convince 10 million men to change their life. I'm going to change my life to the point that 10 million men then look at me and go, I want whatever that is. Mm-hmm. Now imagine if 10 million men went and got their money right, their body right, their family right, their mindset right. Now we have a culture and a society that's not obese, it's not fat, it's not broke, it's not addicted to prescription drugs, it doesn't have kids killing themselves. But the problem is most men are focused on all the other men, how to help change all the other men. We got it backwards. We have this game completely freaking backwards.
Well, I think well said, man. And so you've done this, you've lived it. How important is it, do you think, for other people to just be willing to share the work they're doing then on themselves the way you have? Do you think more men should do what you've been doing, being transparent, being online, sharing that type of thing?
I think that you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. I found this platform and was given this gift of having this following and millions of followers and the whole thing years ago. And I've just chosen this path. I've chosen to use this technology to not only build my businesses and to make money and to do these things, but like, that's my choice, mm-hmm. right? I don't think every man needs to be a social influencer and have millions of followers and the whole thing. But what I do think is that it would change the game and the narrative across the board if more men were showing their own success, their own life, their own way of being to inspire other men to do it, right? But that requires them to step up and to do the real work because it's transparent. I mean, there's two sides to the sword, right? There's the side that I get to build a business and make millions of dollars and do what I do, through social media. But the other side is that it's exposing. And sometimes you fall flat on your face and sometimes you lose some money or sometimes this. And I think that's what keeps more men from doing it. But I definitely think, we need more positivity. We need more success. We need more men showing up as men. We need to talk more about the things that are going on. And I think the reason that there aren't more men talking about it is because they're not doing it. They're not living it.
Right.
Walk through an airport. How many men do you see that are jacked? Point proven. How many men do you see buying Lamborghinis? Not very many. How many men do you see who have deep connected relationships with their children? Not very many. Mm-hmm. So I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but the reality is, like, yeah, if you're living it, talk about it, inspire other people. We're all meant to be leaders. Mm-hmm. We're all meant to be leaders. The question is have you stepped into a place of actually leading yourself to the point that you can do it? Yeah. And I have. And that's the reason I continue to share. And, guys like Andy Frisilla and Ed Milet, those are guys that have built real things, who have real capacity to educate and to teach because they're doing it. They're living it. Mm-hmm.
Now, you talked about where you came from. You didn't come from this. You came from alcoholic parents and like a place that could possibly breed a repeat. But it doesn't sound like you've created that in the household that your kids were raised in that environment. Was that a conscious shift at some point? When do you decide, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to break away from it, I'm going to be this person? Like, how did you come to this conclusion that, like, I can't repeat my environment?
It's really simple. Like when I became a dad, I wanted to be the exact opposite of my dad. Pretty simple. So
Mhm.
everything that I experienced as a child, I did the exact opposite.
Mhm.
You know, when I watched my mom struggle financially, I was like, I don't want that for me, for my family, whatever. So I made the choice and the decision to go the opposite way. I think this is, you know, you hear the story about this, the two brothers who were raised by an alcoholic father. One ends up becoming wildly successful and not an alcoholic. The other one becomes an alcoholic. And you ask them both, you know, why did you become an alcoholic? Because I watched my dad. You watched the other one who became successful. Why did you not become an alcoholic? Because I watched my dad.
Mhm.
That's the truth. Like we all get to
Right.
make the decisions and the choices. If you didn't grow up with money, doesn't matter. You know, I forget who said it, but somebody said something like, if you're born broke, that's not your fault. If you die broke, that's your fault.
Yeah. Statistically, I think the hardest statistic to break is the socioeconomic class that you come from. Less people do that than any other thing.
Right.
And partially, I think just seeing and talking to a lot of people, I think it's a big part is belief. A lot of people don't believe that they deserve, can have, it's possible. And I don't mean like victim mentality, like people are holding them back. I mean, there are some people like that, but I just mean some people truly think they can't do it no matter how they don't have, because they didn't see anyone around them doing it.
Right.
So I think, like, to your point, what you're saying, sharing the growth, the wins, the transparency, and the losses, you know, things obviously don't always go as planned. And that's something that I'm big on talking about on here is like, when you do have something that you worked on, you focus, you put energy in, you had all of this plan and strategy, right? And you're like, I'm going to do it. And you put in the work. Sometimes you don't get the result you're expecting. I think in physical, like physique, if you do the push-ups, you're going to probably build the muscle. But in business, in relationships, in parenting, there's a lot of things where you consciously do your best, you try, but the result isn't the same. How do you come back from something and be willing to try again, knowing the last time you tried, it didn't pan out how you wanted it to?
What did you learn? I mean, what caused it to not happen? I mean, it's really simple. It's just your mentality. Like, okay, what did I do wrong here? I mean, I've made and lost millions of dollars. Every time I lose money, I look at it and say, why did I lose money? Like, what did I do? Like, what was not there? Who did I not hire? Who did I hire? What mistakes were made? And then you alchemize that and change. It's really that simple. I mean, you all go ask a millionaire, go ask a multimillionaire, how many of you have lost money? All of them have. All of them. You know what I'm saying? But you made a point earlier about looking at, you know, the Gary Vaynerchuks and looking at the Grant Cardones and these really successful guys, and people don't see the story behind it and see the journey behind it. And that's, I think, why so few people venture out into that, because they realize the road sucks. It's hard.
Mhm.
It's so much easier to go to a job and just get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Like my life and lifestyle and owning businesses, you know how much easier it is to just go get a job, show up at 9, leave at 5. They send you a check every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't had somebody send me a paycheck in 25 years. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy, but that's the payoff. Is building a six pack is not easy, but I want it. So I do what's required to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. And I think that's where people just, they show up to the game. They're like, this is too much. I'll just play this game over here. Cool. That's not a problem. That's great. You're entitled to do that. Just know that you will never be Gary Vaynerchuk. You'll never have what Grant Cardone has. You'll never have that, period.
Are you a believer in, a few years back, I read Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership. He talks about basically everything's your fault, right?
Yeah.
And so you feel that way?
100%. 100%. I mean, look, it's hard to wrap your head around it, but like accidents are accidents, right? You get into a car accident and you can blame the other person because they ran the red light. That's fine and dandy and all, and that's probably true. But you chose to drive down that street. I mean, if I chose, your partner leaves you and doesn't want to be married anymore, you can say, well, they're a jerk or they're this or that, but you chose to marry them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to a place of extreme ownership, A lot of people have a hard time with the ego of it and the pride, but the reality is in that space is where all the accountability happens. And as soon as you become accountable, like McDonald's isn't making you fat.
Hmm.
McDonald's doesn't make people fat. Eating McDonald's is what makes you fat.
Right.
I know people don't want to hear this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the truth. McDonald's in and of itself does not make anyone fat. You eating McDonald's and not working out is what makes you fat. Your parents, you're not big boned. It's not genetics. I told that story for 40 years.
Hmm.
Neither of my parents was into fitness. I don't think my dad ever went to a gym. I mean, neither of them were. I grew up eating donuts and candy and sugar. And for 40 years, I was like, a six pack is for a guy that goes to the gym 6 hours a day.
Hmm.
And then I did this fitness program that my buddy Andy Frisilla started called 75 Hard. I literally built a six pack. I was like, holy shit,
Hmm.
I've just been telling this story and I'd never gone far enough. I'd never pushed myself far enough.
Yeah.
And for the last 6 years, I've had a six pack. I'm
Yeah.
46 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life.
It's amazing. I hear you on that one for sure. I told myself the same story, struggled with weight most of my life. I did 75 hard a couple of years ago. I ended up running a 40-mile ultra marathon across Catalina. I had never ran in my life and I needed something extreme. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
For me, if I can like commit to something, the last thing I want to do is not follow through on what I attach, especially when there's other people involved and accountability and all that. And so a little bit before I got married back in 2013, I was almost 300 pounds. I was 280 something pounds. And I got myself all the way down to 200 and then a little bit above that today. But I understand this idea that like only you can make it happen. And it's not, you're not big boned. You're not all these things.
Right.
You've sold yourself a bag of goods. And I had many years
Totally.
of my life that I would say things out loud into myself that I was the big guy, which meant I was the guy who was supposed to drink the most. I was supposed to eat the most. I was supposed to be the funniest. Everything had to be at that like big level. Right. And I was also would make jokes. God didn't make me built to run. And that was just my excuse.
Yep.
I ended
100%.
up running 40 miles. Right. So do you have any like actionable things you've learned over all of these years? You said, what did you learn? And it's easy to say, what'd you learn? But like, are there any processes and procedures and things you do that I'm asking both for myself and anyone listening here, when you go through a serious setback and things just did not go as planned and you're sitting there going, how do I learn from this? Like it hurts. I'm in pain. I'm frustrated. You have so many emotions. I went through a period of my life and business struggles where like I felt, looking back now, it took way too long for me to regain the confidence, to regain the stamina, the willingness. Like I felt like I floated around for 6 months just sort of living and being like, nothing, I shouldn't say or do anything. I shouldn't make any choices. Nobody should listen to me because I literally was like just defeated, you know? And it took me a while to get out of that funk and start pressing. If I could have got out of it in 6 weeks instead of 6 months, I would have been back on track. Like everything would have been better had I made. So I'm just curious for yourself, and you're openly sharing you've had failures. Mm-hmm. What do we do? How do you get through that and actually take the thing and you learned and find how to do it different next time?
Number one is accountability. Just be accountable. Can you hear me still?
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Take accountability. Own it. I fucked up. I bet at the wrong time. I did this, I did that. Just accountability is number one. And then I think the most important thing, number two, is to find people that are ahead of you that can help you learn how to do it different. It's really that simple. Like if you're failing at diets and you keep like repeating the same crap, then go hire a trainer. Like learn from people that are ahead of you. Grant Cardone's a billionaire and he coaches people. I've made tens of millions of dollars. I coach people. I've had a dad bod most of my life and now I'm shredded and I coach people. Like I'm not a fitness coach. I don't do fitness coaching, but like find somebody that's ahead of you and learn from them, man. Like that's the hack. Instead of banging your head against the wall over and over and over again, which is the definition of insanity, just go find somebody that has the answers that you need and plug it into your deal and keep going.
As someone who's coaching people and done all these things, do you believe that there's a time or like a level of success where a coach is no longer necessary, or should everybody be looking at someone?
Look, I'll answer your question with a question. Why is it that the best athletes, the best musicians, the best business people on planet Earth have a coach? I mean, Taylor Swift, she's a billionaire. She has multiple voice coaches. Tiger Woods, you know what I mean? Multiple swing coaches, mindset coaches. I mean, Oprah Winfrey hired Tony Robbins to coach her. Like, there's a pattern to this. Like, right. It doesn't ever stop. Like, that's what I think so many people don't understand is it's like, oh, I don't need a coach. Everyone needs a coach. If you want to be more successful in business, get a business coach. You want to be better shape, get a fitness coach. You want to be better in your relationships, get a relationship coach. You want to be better with your mindset, get a mindset coach. You want to learn how to fight better, go hire a freaking professional fighter. Like, I just think it's so odd to me that so few people have coaches, and they're so like in their mindset, well, I don't want to spend this money. And it's like, you're literally learning new shit. It makes you better. Being in better shape helps me make more money, helps me be a better dad. What's your mind, your mindset, your body, your success worth? It's invaluable. And the real mathematical equation is the more you invest in yourself and into your coaching, the better outcome you get. If you want to make more money, hire a business coach. Sean, that's dumb. You're just saying that because you're a coach. Yeah, and look at the track record. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have come through my coaching group that make more money because they joined the coaching group. Mm-hmm. The proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? Right. But most people just stay stuck in their head and they're a victim and they blame and blame and blame. And I don't have the excess money for it. No one does. Call a millionaire and say, hey, how much extra money do you have? No one has extra money. What you said earlier, you spending $1,500 a month on Starbucks, but you can't spend $200 to hire a coach.
Yep. Well, preach it, man. I believe you. And
how we roll.
The coaching stuff. Well, so you're saying that's how I roll. One of the questions I wrote down I wanted to ask you is, I find sometimes I've struggled with this, maybe because of like upbringing and whatever different reasons, and I've broken through it more and more. But promoting and sharing and transparency, being yourself, right? We live in a culture where no one wants to offend anyone else, and obviously there's people willing to offend and say stuff, and so. Especially when it comes to building businesses online and trying to promote a message where, let's say, if you are a coach or someone, there's this fine line, and a lot of people are only willing to say the stuff that doesn't ruffle everyone's feathers because they believe maybe, well, I can't turn away certain people, and there's this idea of being all things to everyone. You have built a brand and a successful business, I think, around leaning extremely direct into these beliefs and not compromising. So, I don't know, can you speak on that a little bit? Is it hard for you? Did you ever feel like, I don't know if I could say this online, and then you made yourself, or I don't know, how's that been?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, here's the truth. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, you're going to be judged. Right? If you're broke, it's because you're lazy, you're undisciplined. If you're rich, it's because you're a snake oil salesman. If you're fat, you're gross and you're undisciplined. If you're shredded, you're just on steroids. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, somebody's going to judge you. And once I got that, like 7, 8, 9 years ago, I was like, well, if I'm going to be judged no matter what, well, then I'm just going to do whatever I want. I'm going to say whatever I want because I'm going to be judged either way. Mm-hmm. So just go do my shit. Go live my life. You know what I mean? And that's the most liberating, freeing thing ever. Because, you know, if you can't make everybody happy, you can't make everybody buy your crap. You can't make everybody believe what you want to believe. And we spend so much time trying. It's madness. You'll go insane. Mm-hmm. So just go live your life, shine your light, and the people that like it will like it. The people that don't, and you're good either way.
Right. You have a quote from your book You said, stop lying to yourself, stop making excuses, start telling the truth and doing the work.
Yeah.
How do you relate that to like your core 4 concept? And like, can you speak on that a little bit? And maybe when you felt like you stopped lying to yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I lied to myself for many, many, many years. And I wrote about that in my book, so people can read that in the book. But, core 4 is really simple. I found that everything in my life is in one of 4 categories: power, passion, purpose, and production. Power is the body, passion, relationships, purpose is your mindset and your spirituality, and then production is money. There's nothing that you and I do anywhere in our life that doesn't affect one of those 4 places. So I just broke it down, and I learned this through my coaches to realize that if I have a simple target in all 4 of these areas every day, and all I have to do is hit that target, I get the best results. I mean, how do you eat the elephant? You don't eat the elephant in one bite. You sit there and just take a little bite and a little bite and a little bite and a little bite. Before you know it, you ate the whole elephant. So what Core 4 for me is, it became just my lifestyle. It became my map, where every day I get up, I have a fitness target, I have a relationship target, I have a mindset target, and I have a business target. And I just go after those targets. And you compound that over time and you get big results. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you want to make $1 million, trying to make $1 million in one deal is not very likely, especially if you've never made $1 million. But break that down to what would it look like? How much do I have to make per day if I spent the next 12 months doing it? How do I make $1 million? Now that's way more achievable. Getting a 6-pack if you're obese is not easy. But if you went to the gym every day and walked 3 miles on the treadmill, and you do that with enough time, next thing you know, the fat's gone, the muscles start to show. Now you have a 6-pack. That's exactly what Core 4 is.
Is Core 4 something that you teach in the Lion's Den, your program? This is kind of what that's based off?
It's the only thing I teach.
Is there a place where people you want to maybe promote or anything like that, where people can get dig into this a little bit if they're not that familiar with you, or where they should grab this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, just go to lionsnotsheepcoaching.com.
Okay.
Lionsnotsheepcoaching.com is where all the information on the coaching is. And I'm pretty easy to find on social media. So
awesome. Well,
yeah,
you inspire a lot of people with yourself online, what you share, all of that stuff. Myself in general, you got a lot of toys and different things, and also the ability to just be yourself authentically all the time is awesome.
Thanks, man.
Let's inspire some people. What's something that you haven't yet accomplished that's a goal on your list, or something that at your stage and what you've already done, this is where you look beyond the horizon and you start to say, that's what I'm trying to do and accomplish?
Man, that's a good question. I actually had on my bucket list, I wanted to ride a bull because it scared me. And I did that about 2 weeks ago. I rode a bull at a rodeo. That was terrifying, and it was freaking exhilarating and really freaking fun.
I saw the pictures. It looked incredible.
Yeah, it was great, man. I mean, an 1,850-pound bull that wants to stomp on your head and kill you. It was freaking amazing. I don't know right now. Like, I just checked that off kind of my bucket list. But like right now, I'm just in such a good place with becoming a grandpa and building my ranch. I bought 500 acres a couple of years ago, and I'm building an amazing compound for my family. And like, that's what I'm really focused on right now, is getting that done. It's been a great project and taken a little bit longer than expected, like most things do. But
yeah,
my number one focus right now is my family. Is just doing anything and everything that I want to do with my family, traveling the world, spending the time with my grandson, building great relationships with people. That's the thing that really gets me the most and gives me the most,
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be here, have this conversation. Sean, before we go, can I just pray for you?
Sure. Would love to. Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, absolutely. Lord, I thank you so much for connecting me with Sean. His voice has transformed so many people. This conversation, I hope, gets spread all across the world, and people are able to be inspired and take action and do some of the real simple, responsible things, like maybe considering life insurance, all the way to transforming the way that their life is. I pray that you just surround him with peace and people who love him, uplift him, and keep opening the doors and allowing him to share the wins, to keep inspiring us, and that first and foremost, he'd always keep you first in all the things that he does. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Hey, absolutely.
God bless you.
I appreciate you too.
Awesome, man.
I got one last question. Yeah, absolutely. Who's one person that you'd be willing to recommend jumps on this other side of the mic with me and have a conversation?
Yeah, there's so many rad people out there. I mean, Andy Frisell is always a good guy to talk to. He's a buddy of mine. Mark Evans, hit up Mark Evans. Mark Evans is a great man. He's a great father. He's a great business owner, a great leader. He's one of my dearest friends. Hit up Mark Evans.
All right. I can let Mark Evans know that you sent me.
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect. Well,
all right, man.
I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.